Hi everybody. Today we're at the Washington County Commission on Aging Cafe Kitchen, and we're here to help you this fine day. We're going to be looking at ways to help you through your Thanksgiving by making some different kind of foods with the things that we provide you, either through our Meals on Wheels program, those folks who get the large bag of groceries. We're going to kind of do some substituting using some of this food to get you through the holiday. We want to make sure that we know that you're hopefully going to be staying home, and we want you to be safe. So this is why I'm here today, to kind of show you a way to make some fancier dishes with what we already have. Some of you folks who are going to be looking at this, you're going to say, well, I have some of those other items in the kitchen. I don't have this bag. We're going to make it very easy for you to find those things and also substitute and make these great dishes. They're not going to be the typical dish that you're going to see, at a restaurant, a real fancy restaurant, because we are just going to be doing some substitutions. We're going to make it look fine, and we're going to make it taste great. So I hope you'll come along and watch us as we get started. So for the first dish, of course, we all start with a salad. So this recipe comes from my family. This is something my dad always liked at Thanksgiving, so we always kind of provide that. It's a real simple thing, and people, when I first made it, people said, what? And I'm like, just trust me, it is good. So we're going to get started here. I'm going to get this out of the way. You can just stay right where you are. We're going to go right into our trusty refrigeration area here, and just any kind of dish will get started, because we're just going to plate this up, Tim. So we're going to just start out with some lettuce. We're going to lay this lettuce out on a dish just kind of like that. Now, of course, this is the crazy stuff that's going to happen here. So we're going to put some pineapple. So I've already just got a regular, you can do crushed pineapple, or you can do chunk pineapple. You can even do a ring. Whatever kind of pineapple you have, it's quite all right. For right now, I'm just going to go ahead and pull some of our chunks out of here. Let me get a spoon. We're going to put this here kind of around the outside of your dish. Then we're going to add mayonnaise. I'm going to reach in here to my refrigerated area. We're just going to get a nice blob of mayonnaise, and we're going to put that right there in the center. Kind of acts as the dressing. So we're going to get another little bit on there. Then we're going to add a banana to this. I know it's a little strange, but trust me, it is good. All right. I'm going to slice it. You can do however you prefer. If you want to dice it, you can. I just always kind of slice it and then lay it out on the ends. Just like that on the sides. And then we're going to finish it off with crushed peanuts. Now, you got to be careful, because sometimes folks have allergic allergies to the peanuts. So you want to make sure that your guest, if you're having your guest, or if you are allergic, you don't want to use this. But I'm just going to throw some pineapple, peanuts on top of the pineapple and the mayonnaise. And we're going to call that our salad. So right there we have just some crushed pineapple, sliced pineapple, a pineapple ring on top of a bed of lettuce, a nice portion of mayonnaise in the center, your banana on your outside, and then to finish it off with peanuts, crushed peanuts, pressed preferably, there all over the top. So go ahead and stick this in the refrigerator, because I'm sure someone's going to really, really want this in shortly. All right, so I'll be right back. And we know that when you have meat, you're going to want to use one and only one cutting board, because after that, we don't want to cross-contaminate. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get our meat out here. We're going to prepare it. Now, typically everybody has turkey for Thanksgiving. Turkeys are kind of scarce to get, and sometimes people don't want to get a large turkey just for one or two people, and that's fine. So today we're going to use a large chicken breast, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I'm going to tell you what, sometimes Once you cook it, no one will ever know it. Okay. Just your typical chicken breast. This is a pretty large one, and I did that. I always typically when I stuff something, and that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to do a stuffed chicken breast. I tend to look for the larger ones, and I get deboned, so that way nobody has to worry about, especially my guests, that there's bones in it trying to maneuver around. So I want to make sure that I take care of that and get that all clean. So we're going to walk over. We're going to rinse this off over into our area. So follow me. Okay, and as we're just doing that, we just want to make sure that we're getting all any kind of blood juices or anything that may come from the store, because we don't want any of that to be on our chicken as we prepare it. Okay, and the way we're going to prepare this, we're going to make a pocket inside of this. We're not going to slice it all the way open. If by chance you do slice it all the way open, that's fine. You know, it's not a big deal. I try to be real careful. And when I slice this, I'm going to start here and go across here and stop, because like I said, I want to make a pocket. So I'm going to lay this down, and you kind of have to have a sharp knife. So if you don't have a sharp knife, you got to be really careful, because you're really going to have to push hard. I do have a sharp knife, so I'm going to be real careful, but I'm going to go ahead and just make my pocket. So I'm going in a little deeper towards the center, because I can feel the end of my knife back here, but I don't want to go all the way through. So I'm going to come right up here and keep slicing, and I'm not going to go much more there. I'm going to come right to there, lay my knife down, and I'm going to open that up, and you're going to see the pocket that I've made. Okay, so what you're going to do is we're going to fill that pocket. I'm going to cut that just a little bit more, because I got a lot of stuffing I'm going to be putting in there. Okay, so I'm going to set that off to the side, let that rest a few minutes, because now we're going to work on our stuffing. I'm going to go ahead and change. I'm not going to move the board. I'm going to change my gloves, because I'm going to go from raw chicken and I'll be working with other products. So remember, if you don't have gloves, make sure you're washing your hands in between each one. Make sure that you're not using the same knives or the same board if you're going to be working it. We're going to go to the stove, and then you can watch me as we make that. So typically when you make stuffing, gotta have bread. So last night I went ahead and set my day-old bread. You know, typically sometimes you have the heels of the bread. That's what I typically like to use if I can. I'll save them out for maybe about a month before Thanksgiving, and then I pull those out and I will stick them all in the refrigerator or freezer. And sometimes it's kind of better to do it when they're frozen. It's to slice it into small pieces, and as you can see, you're going to get real small pieces. So we're just going to leave it here into this bowl, and we're going to move everything over to the stove. Typically what we're going to take over, we're going to take some celery if you have it. We're going to take chopped onions. So just for the sake of time, I went ahead and chopped up my onions, and we are ready to go. So we're going to saute all this. We're going to go over here to the kitchen, and with this you can either do one or two things. I prefer, when I'm sauteing, is to go ahead and put a little butter in it. And you know, when you're doing your stuffing, you know, people can put whatever you want into it. Sometimes you can do a fruit. If you want to put some fruit in it, that's fine. But this point here, you really just want to do things that you're going to saute. You wouldn't be putting fruit in it yet. So, and we're going to add a little fruit to ours to make it just a little bit different. But right now, we're going to put our celery. And we're going to add some onions. I typically like to put a little salt and pepper in it just to start getting it seasoned. You can use whatever you want. I usually mostly pepper, because I can always salt it later on. And this will typically take probably about 2 to 3 minutes just to get that sauteed nice. It's already cooking pretty good. All right, I'm going to let that set there for a second. I'm going to turn my stove back just a little bit. I'm going to go over here. We're going to follow me over here to the area. We're going to start working on our stuffing. Now, If you don't have certain spices at home, we know that typically most people don't have poultry seasoning, and that's fine. If you do, this is the time that you would want to use your poultry seasoning in your stuffing. You would either just kind of sprinkle it on now and then just kind of stir it up a little bit. But if you don't, that's quite all right. You can always just use salt and pepper. Like I said, I typically use a little bit more pepper, only because I can always salt afterwards. We don't want to do a lot of sodium because we want to try to make sure that folks who have sodium intake issues, we want to make sure that we lessen the salt. So the less salt, the better. You do have to saute with a little bit, and you have to add as you go, but don't go overboard on it. So because you can always add it later. Okay, so I think our sauté is about ready to come off the stove. We're going to pull that. We're going to come back over here. So, all right. And it just kind of depends on how you like your sauté. Some people like to cook it. It's kind of a little bit, I call it mushy. I like mine al dente, that it's a little bit crispy, because I'm going to stick it in the oven and it's going to bake. So it will also finish off in the oven. So let's bring it on over here. And we're just going to go ahead and pop this right in over top of our breadcrumbs. Now, one of the key things to this is you're going to have some moisture. You know, some people put an egg in it to keep it together, and that's fine. And that's good for protein. It has a lot more protein in it. It's okay if you don't. You can use a little butter. I prefer to use an egg when possible. But for today, I think what I'm going to do is just test it out here, see what I got. All right. I'm going to go ahead and grab an egg, and we're going to go ahead and mix that in. It kind of depends on the bread too sometimes. It just absorbs a lot. So this one here is not absorbing as like I wanted to. So I'll just go ahead and throw the egg in. Most everybody has an egg, and you can put that right in and just kind of wish that around. Stir it nicely so that, because basically what you want to do is get a little moisture on everything in the bread. Okay, that's good. So now we're going to get our gloves here back on, and let's see, we got gloves here. Because this is the fun part. This is when we're going to stuff it. But before we do, I got one little ingredient that's going to make it a little special. And some people like it, some people don't. It just depends. But cranberries. Cranberries are kind of give a little sweetness, and I like that. So these cranberry packs come in the, I'm going to go over here. We have what is known as a shelf-stable box that we receive and we give out for our Meals on Wheels clients. You'll find a lot of these items in this box that I'm trying to incorporate, because we want you to be able to use them up in different ways. So this cranberry pack came out of this box. So I'm just going to push that box off to the side there. We're going to go ahead and open this up. We're going to just, I'm going to dump them all in there. We're going to go ahead and mix that up. All right, so basically what we're going to do here is we're just going to take your handful of this, kind of give it a couple squeezes there a little bit just to kind of mix it up. And it's taking the shape of, you know, like a stuffing ball. So we're just going to open the breast up, and we're going to go ahead and stick that in there. And don't be afraid, just kind of pack it in there the best you can. And don't be afraid if it comes out like on the bottom, if it comes out the sides or something, don't worry about it, because it's all going to cook just the same. So now, I typically try to close that up by using some toothpicks. You can use whatever you have there. And I'm just going to do a toothpick that way. Gonna bring it here, gonna go down. This will just kind of keep it from just kind of opening up. We don't want it to, when it cooks, we don't want it to just open up all the way. So this will help keep it together. And I alternate it back and forth so that all right. So as you can see, we got basically a nice stuffed chicken breast there. We're going to go ahead, I'm going to move over here to get my pan, and we'll get working on it. We'll get ready to stick it in the oven. Okay, it's really important that you use some type of non-stick pan spray. And you're just going to bring your chicken breast, put it right over top of that. Now, I typically, chicken breast can get dried out, when you're cooking it like that. So you want to be real careful. And I found a little trick to make it a little bit nicer. So again, I'll use something called mayonnaise. That's one of the tricks that I have learned to help any kind of meat, especially poultry. I'll just kind of put this on here. Kind of spread that over. And then it doesn't really matter if you have some crackers, anything you can crumble up works best. Today I have some corn flakes. I can use that. I can use Ritz crackers. I can use just regular saltine crackers. The saltine crackers come in the box the shelf-stable box, and we also have been giving these Ritz crackers out, and also in the big bags that we've been giving out is corn flakes. Your choice, whatever you want to do. If you don't want to open this up, that's fine. I'm going to use just saltine crackers. It's a little bit something different. So I'm just going to crumble them up a little bit. And this is going to give, the outside's going to give a little bit of a crunch to it, because you don't have skin on your chicken breast, because this is a skinless chicken breast, and we just want maybe just a little bit of crumbles. So that's what this is going to do. This is going to give it just a little bit of a crispiness to it. All right, so now we've finished that. Typically, I'll go ahead and put this in the oven at say 375. Depends on the size of the chicken breast and how it's stuffed. And I would bake that for about anywhere from 30 minutes to 35 minutes. But you're going to have to make sure that it's done to 165 degrees thoroughly inside, so that your chicken is completely done. All right, we're going to move on. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our drink. We want to make sure that we have something really good. So we're going to do a non-alcoholic sangria. All right, so follow me over. So I'm going to take any kind of pitcher will do. If you have one that's you used to put water in, that's fine. And we're just going to dump whatever we have. So we had some leftover pineapple. It's going in. I had some peaches. I have some fruit cocktail and pears. And remember, these all come out of our white bags that we give you out of emergency meal kits that we bring to you every 2 weeks. You can get whatever you want out of that, as long as it's fruit. We're just going to go ahead and dump it in. Okay, we got this in. All right, so basically we just have juice in there right now with fruit. Now, most times we've given you out some different kind of juices and you're thinking, what am I going to do with all them juices? Now's the time to use it, okay? So we had some grape juice. We're going to put that in there. And I found some pink cranberry juice. We're going to pop one of those. And the reason we're doing this next is because I want it to chill for dinner. So if you're doing it right before your meal, it'll be ready to go in about an hour or so when you're about ready to serve. If you happen to have a Sprite or ginger ale or something like that, you can also add that because that'll give it a little bit of carbonation. And of course this will last, so there's no, you don't have to worry about, going to go bad in a day or something. But look at that. See that? You can see the different fruits in there. You got all kinds of things. And then the juice is what we're really going to be looking for. So I give it a little bit of a stir, only because I want to break some of that fruit up a little bit in there, so it'll get a little bit more like some pulp to it. If you look at that, you can see how that is in there. Got the different fruits in there and a lot of juice. So that's what we're going to be drinking out when we get it out of the refrigerator. So now we're going to just go ahead and chill that. Then our drink is ready for the party. Okay. I'm not going to do a typical mashed potato. So I'm going to let that up to you because everyone knows how to do that. But I do want to say that in our emergency meal bags we do have these complete meals, and if you've gotten some, and this one here actually has some stuffing, gravy, mashed potatoes, and a piece of turkey in it. So if you didn't want to make the chicken breast and you got them, go ahead and pull this out because this will give you a lot for what's in there. So I know these are very good. I know a lot of our clients love these. Even if you're at the grocery store, pick one of these up, keep it in back for emergencies for folks who, if you're by yourself and you don't want a big turkey or just a regular meal, just go ahead and get that. But this has everything in it, so enjoy that. So we're going to start off. I'm going to do the green bean casserole. Basically, what we have is our green beans in our pan. So, and we've rinsed everything off, so the sodium content is already out. So you're gonna need to put a little bit of seasoning in this, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Follow me. So I know that in our packets that we've given you some mac and cheese. So we're going to go like, well, what can I do with that? We're not going to put that in there. Yes, we are. We're going to take the packet out of it. We're going to take the packet because remember, we're substituting. We're trying to figure out how we're going to make it thick because it's going to have to be a little bit thick like a cream sauce. So we're going to use this because we typically, with this product, it's going to be creamier. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to eventually go over to our stove here in a second, but I'm going to get my saute pan and get it ready. We're going to have some milk that you get in our packets that we give you. This is a good time to use some of that. Powdered milk works too, so don't worry about that. If you have your powdered milk and you want to use that, little powdered milk. Now, I'm going to just check my numbers here. So we're going to be using a half a pack of the cheese, and then we're going to do a cup of milk and 3/4 cup of flour. You can use cornstarch also because that's going to be a little bit of a thickening, and that's what we want to do. So I'm going to open my milk up. We're going to do, this is a half a cup measure, so we're going to do 2 of these. We're going to get our flour, and it's 1/3 cup of flour. And we're going to come over here to our stove, and we're going to go ahead and get started heating this up a little bit. You want to use a whisk to keep moving it around in your stove so that when you start adding your milk, your flour to that, because you're going to want it to get a little thicker, that's what you're going to be using. And so if you do that, you'll keep it consistently moving around your pot. I'm going to grab our half packet. of cheese sauce. So I'm going to go ahead and add our cheese sauce. We're going to do about half of that. And it doesn't matter if it's cheddar cheese pack or if it's a yellow American cheese. Don't worry about it, because you're going to use about half of it. And we're going to start stirring. You can also add a little butter if you like butter. Today I'm not doing that. I'm trying to keeping it simple today. So now I'm going to start adding my flour, and this is what's going to make it thick. So you got to keep it going. So just keep stirring a little bit like that. Take it off the stove, and see how quick it already made it nice and thick. Kind of a mashed potato. And don't worry about if it gets too thick, because I can show you how to thin it out a little bit. It's never a problem. So right here, I'm kind of like a mashed potato consistency. I want it to be just a little thinner than that. So I'm just going to reach back and get a little bit more milk. And some of the cheese sauces are a little bit different, so you got to play with it a little bit. I used a regular cheese sauce last night, like a macaroni and cheese sauce with American, and it was thinner, so I used less. This is a cheddar, so it may be that's the reason, but you don't have to worry. You can always add milk to it to thin it down to the consistency that you want. And remember, you want it to be a consistency kind of like the cream soup. So you just make sure you're working that together. All right, we're going to walk over here. And see, it's kind of like a thick cream soup, and that's what you want. So we're just going to pour this right over top of our mixture of green beans. And now we're just going to stir that through. And now you can see we're getting the consistency of what it looks like when it's in a regular pan with cream of mushroom soup. But of course we didn't have the cream of mushroom, so we improvised and we did a substitute. So now we have that. All we're going to do is we're going to finish that off. I'm going to grab the cornflakes over here, because I like cornflakes. We're going to open that up. Again, you can use graham crackers, you can use whatever you want. Throw that right on top of it. We're going to stick this in the oven. We're going to put this in the oven at 350 for about a half an hour. So an easy dish to make. Peas and carrots. You know, we've been giving you a lot of vegetables because we want you to eat your vegetables and enjoy them too. Sometimes you get tired of the same, you know, a can of peas, a can. So today we're going to mix them. We're going to go take these over there. We're going to rinse them off, get all the sodium, all the moisture out of it, dry them off a little bit, and then we're going to come back and we're going to put some flavor to that. I'm only going to use a half a can of these peas. You can use the whole can if you want. I'm going to save some of my peas because the next dish that we have, and we're almost finished our whole menu plan for the Thanksgiving Day. But we're going to just do this. Just going to throw these together into a pan. Again, you can use whatever kind of pan you want. You can use a saute pan. If you do a saute pan, you put it on the stove, just add water to it. You'll be fine. I'm going to add water to this, and I'm going to show you, because I can cook with this right on the stove because this is one of our pans. And I'm going to stick that on there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of our onions, and we're going to throw our onions in there. That's going to make it a much better dish, because that's going to be some seasoning that we typically wouldn't see. So we're just going to throw the onions on that. I don't know if you can see that. And that's going to cook, and you know, everything tastes a little bit better when you have some onions to it. So, okay, now our next dish that we're going to prepare is a tuna noodle casserole. And we have everything that we have been given out in our bag to make that. And I know that people are like, oh, I didn't even think about that. But that's a real simple dish to do. You can make it anytime. You can make it for a dinner and then make a lot of it. Because we do give you a lot of pasta. We do give you a lot of tuna. You can substitute the tuna for the cans of chicken that we've been giving you. So you have different things you can use for that. So don't worry about it. If you've used up your tuna and you have a can of the chicken in the sea, go use that. It's not a problem. But for today, we're going to go ahead and use our tuna. And I'm going to be using the tuna that came in the packets like this. You can get it at any grocery store, but most people have a can of it or whatever. So we're going to start with that. One of the things that we've been giving out recently is the ready-to-made pasta. It comes in a bag like this. It's already cooked al dente, so all I got to do is really stick it in the microwave. So I'm going to take this past time we gave out 2. So all we have to do is go ahead and put it in our microwave. You just kind of go like this a little bit, break it up a little bit. I'm going to take it to the microwave, and then we're going to go ahead and start assembling that. So I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. And so we've heated our pasta in the microwave. The one thing you got to remember about this pasta is you have to actually open it up a little bit so that it breathes, so when you stick it in there it doesn't explode in the microwave. So make sure you cut the top of it, give it in there. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to pour this in. And this is the pasta that's in your bag, so you'll be able to find that pretty easily. And I'm going to use both of them because I like pasta, and it's kind of important. It does have a lot of starch in it, but this is whole wheat, so this is going to be a good pasta to start off with. Then we're going to add, our tuna. And again, you can use a substitute chicken, the chicken of the king. If you don't have the tuna, you don't have to worry about that. Just going to kind of break that up a little bit. Kind of spread it out, stir it up. Now, got to make a sauce. I'm going to do the same type of sauce that we did before. And again, you can use powdered milk if you have it. It's all right. This is a good time to use that powdered milk up. It doesn't hurt. You'll just use water and you'll take your powder and you put it in there. All right, so the tuna noodle casserole, we're going to be adding salt and pepper to that. We're going to do a stick of butter in here with our flour, and we're going to get started with that. And I typically like to use a little bit more butter on this. Just gives it a little different flavor. And 2/3 of a cup, so we're going to put this in. Our casserole. All right, so we're going to bring it over here. This is going to be our tuna noodle casserole dish, and we're going to go ahead and get a spoon, and we're just going to put this over top of it. Just stir that up. Oh, it's really smelling good. I can smell the tuna in that already. It smells delicious. Now, I typically like to add peas to this. A lot of people don't, but I do. Just kind of gives a little bit more color, different look to the whole casserole. So I'm just going to dump my peas in here. And remember, I saved half the can. That's what this is for. So again, we're just going to stir that in a little bit. We're not going to beat it. We're just going to kind of fold it in because we don't want to make the peas mushy. this does make a really good dish. And I know that you have to remember, we're working with whole grain noodles, so it's going to be a little brown. It's not going to look that real rich color that you typically see. That's okay. It's good for us. And I do like the whole wheat. So, all right. So we have this. We're starting off. We have our peas, our casserole with our tuna. We're going to go ahead and throw some graham crackers or some Ritz crackers on the top of that. And you know, of course, we've been giving you lots of Ritz crackers, so if you didn't think, well, what am I going to do with all these Ritz crackers? Well, this is one of them you can do. So you're just going to take just a handful, and you're just going to crack them up a little bit, crumble them over top of that. And of course, you know, this is just going to give it a nice little crunch taste to it on the top. I like doing that. Some people don't put anything on it. I like having something on the top of that. Makes it a little bit more fancier, I always think. So, and you know, when you're having a nice dinner, you have something you want to do for like a Thanksgiving, you want to make it a little bit fancier. So this is a way to do that. So we're going to go ahead and stick this in the oven. It's already kind of warm because, you know, we heated up the noodles, but we still need to cook it thoroughly. So we're going to go ahead and cook this at 350. We're going to go for a half an hour, and then we're going to pull everything out about one time, about the same time. Our chicken breast is just about finished. We're going to go ahead and pull that out. We're going to let it rest, and when that's finished, we'll go ahead and we'll have all of our other dishes out at the same time. We've got one final dish to go. It's the dessert, and that's the best part of the whole meal. All right, the most important part of the whole dinner is the dessert, and I think you're really going to like this. It's going to be a peach parfait, real simple. Everything that we have here comes with those emergency meal kits that I have that we've been giving out to you. So, and also you can get this at any grocery store. Makes it very easy. And I'll tell you how to substitute some things in that. So, all right. So the first thing we're going to do is I like to use these graham crackers, these honey grahams. They come in the box, emergency meal packs. So what we're going to do is we're just basically going to crush some of that. Then we're going to take any old glass. I use wine glasses because it's kind of nice. People can hold it and walk around if you're going to serve it in a meal and you're not sitting down. But if you're sitting down, perfect. Now you're going to open up. We're just going to throw a little bit of these in the bottom as a base. That gets everything started. Don't use all of it because we're going to continue to build this layer as we go. All right. Okay, so now we're going to throw some peaches in here. And remember I took and told you about draining off your fruit? Well, we've drained them off and they're dry, ready to go. You want to make sure that you rinse these really well, and I've already done that in the sink, rinsed them off, and they've dried up a little bit because we don't want all that moisture in there. So basically all we're going to do is we're just going to chop these down. We're going to throw them into our dish. Depending on how big, if you want to do a regular large bowl, you can do that too. But parfaits, you want to kind of layer things. Yeah, we'll do one more. All right, great. Okay. So I'm going to reach into my refrigerator and get a couple things. I'll be right back. Okay, we got our items out of the refrigerator. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, parfaits, we're going to layer it. So this here is we're going to go ahead and start with, we did our base, we got our peaches. We're going to reach over here and get this brownie. So open up this bar cookie. I know you've gotten these before. And we're going to add this to the layer. And you're just going to break this into pieces. Don't matter how big or small. Put that down there. So we have our layers. Now we're going to add another layer of crunch to it. We're going to throw some more peaches on top of this. right. Now we're going to add just a little bit, kind of make like an icing type thing, a thin icing on it. So basically it's going to be consisting of its milk, butter, and powdered sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and start it right here. I'm going to put a little bit of butter in. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. A little bit of this in here. Don't worry, you make a mess every once in a while when you're working with powdered sugar. It goes everywhere. It just makes you look like you've been working hard. Alright, so we kind of just blended that a little bit. Now we're going to get our milk and we're going to add that. And you got to remember, you can only add a little bit of that because if you put too much in, man, you're gonna be having to add a lot more of the powdered sugar. We don't want that. So I'm going to say, basically start off with maybe a teaspoon of milk, and you just kind of add as you go. I think it's probably going to take a little bit more than that, but I'm just going to start with one so that you can see how well it starts to get to that icing portion. You see, I'm still making it, stirring it in, and it's still pretty thin. And it's kind of almost to an icing consistency. We want to go a little bit thinner than that, and that's what I'm saying. It doesn't take much, so it's almost there right now. So I'm only going to put just a tad, a little bit more in there. And sometimes what happens is you may be just a little bit too much. Don't worry about it, because you'll know. Just add a little bit more powdered sugar to it. Our goal is not to put powdered sugar in it. We just want to put a little bit in it just to give it some sweetness. And now I'm just going to beat it up a little bit. And that's perfect. Some people use yogurt. You can put yogurt in, flavored yogurt. People put pudding in there. If you want to put like layers of pudding, you can do that, and it makes it nice. But today we're just doing what we have in the kitchen and what we have available. All right. Perfect. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to just drizzle some of this in on top of the parfait. All right, we're almost finished now. All right, here's the finishing touch. We're going to slice our peach so that it comes out the side. We're going to get a brownie. Stick your brownie in there. And you're just going to finish it off with your graham cracker. All right. So there's our dessert. Looks yummy. I hope our guests like it. That's our Thanksgiving dessert for the night. So we're going to go ahead and start working about pulling everything out of our oven, and we're ready to go to start serving. Okay, finishing products here. So we've pulled our meat, our chicken breast out, and we let it rest We've pulled our side dishes out. They've already cooked. They're ready to go. So we're ready to plate. So basically, this is a chicken breast, and then remember, we have some skewers in there, so we're going to take them out, toothpicks out. And one more. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to just hold that down, and we're going to cut on the bias. Look at that, perfect. It's great. All the way done, all the way through, no pink, we're ready to go. So we're just going to put that down on our plate. Let's do it this way. Everything's looking perfect for Thanksgiving. Do one more slice there of that off to the side. And this is our casserole dish. Tuna casserole. Our green bean casserole. This is our peas and carrots that we had with onions. And we have our salad. So there it is, folks. We got our nice little Thanksgiving dinner all ready to go. A little fancier than normal. It's substituted. We substitute a few items out, but I think you'll really enjoy it. So I hope that you will take some suggestions and use your imagination on what you have in your kitchen also, because that's the way you'll taste different things for a first time. Use up things that you have that you may think, I'll never use that. Add it and try it. Sometimes it works and sometimes it don't, but you'll never know until you try it. So on behalf of the Washington County Commission on Aging, I'm Mike Gesford, Cooking with Mike. Happy Thanksgiving.